Baruch Dayan Hamet, we praise the Judge of Truth. Begin for Estelle's funeral service here with Psalm 121. Esai enai el haharim me'ayin yavo Ezri. Ezri me'im Adonai se shamayim va'aretz. Al yitein amot raglecha, al yanum shomrecha. Hine lo yanum velo yishan shomer Yisrael. Adonai shomrecha, Adonai tzircha al yad yeminecha. Yomam hashemesh lo yakeka v'yarech b'layla. Adonai yishmarcha mikol ra, yishmor et nafshecha. Adonai yishmar tzedcha avuecha me'ata v'ad olam. I lift up my eyes to the mountains, from whence cometh my help. My help comes from the Lord, maker of heaven and earth. The Lord will not let your foot give way. Your protector will not slumber. See, the protector of Israel neither slumbers nor sleeps. The Lord is your guardian. He is your protection at your right hand. The sun will not strike you by day, nor the moon by night. The Lord will guard you from all harm. He will guard your soul, your going and your coming, now and forever. Together let us recite the 23rd Psalm in English. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. He restoreth my soul. He guideth me in straight paths for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of mine enemies. Thou hast anointed my head with oil, my cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of the Lord forever. We have many to eulogize our dear Estelle, and I will call them forward in just a moment. We are a saddened throng here to pay tribute to the life of our dear Estelle Epstein, Esther bat Chaim v'Rezel. Esther is Esther. Her dad's name was Chaim, which means life. Rezel is Yiddish for rose. It's a time of sadness, and yet it's also a celebration of a life well lived. She was 93 years old. She graced this earth for many, many years. She knew children, grandchildren, and great-grandchildren, which is a blessing. We're just about to celebrate Pesach, the time of our liberation from Egyptian slavery, Egyptian bondage. And the memory of your dear Estelle will rest significantly at your Seder table. She will be missed deeply. She has been liberated from the illness which recently ravaged her body. As we sat and talked about her the other night, Jennifer showed a video of Estelle counting the values of line of cards. You know, she's at 3, 8, 11, 15, very, very quickly. Better at adding these things up than most of us would have been. She was a great counter of things and people. Her mathematical ability is an uncanny and a fantastic reminder of the next book in the Torah, Sefer B'Midbar, the book of Numbers. The Torah portion, as we begin the book of Numbers, the first week of June, begins with a series of census counts to establish the number of adult males available for military service, the number of Levites to serve in the wilderness tabernacle, and the number of the Kohathites. They were the clan within the tribe of Levi who they were to schlep the most sacred objects for the wilderness tabernacle. And just about every modern reader of this particular section in the book of Numbers, you know, if you're not paying close attention, you're just bored. You go, ugh, why all the names, why all the numbers? What's the reason? So Rashi, a biblical commentator, in the 11th century brings a tremendous insight. Counting the people is a measure of God's intense love for each person. You don't count things and you don't count people that are unimportant. You only count people really that are important. You only count precious things, really. And that same insight brings us here today. We're gathering to recount with reverence the life and the deeds, and to recount the name of your beloved Estelle. And so I would like to call forward Darlene and Barbara, and Barb's going to bring Tony, and we'll start there, and then we'll go to the next generation. But we'll start with this generation to speak about your dear mother. Doesn't matter who goes first.
Thank you. Oh, wow. Okay. I first want to thank you all for coming to support our family and to celebrate my mother's life. I'd like to start by giving you an idea of what my mother was like and some of my favorite memories of her. She loved playing croquet, cards, rummy cube, and mahjong. She was known as the Jello Queen and the Freezer Queen, as she froze almost every meal that was left over. We all loved her sloppy joes and salmon patties. My mom loved ice cream, M&Ms, and caramel corn. She loved to read and she loved music. She loved picnics in the park and long car rides. She loved sitting in the sun with her head back and her eyes closed as she soaked up the warmth of the sun. But my mother was most known for her love towards her family and friends. They meant the world to her. She loved to entertain them at our home in Toledo when I was growing up. Our front door was always open any time of the day. She always had at least 4.5 gallons of ice cream in the freezer just in case people would just stop by. She loved having a house filled with music, laughter, food, and games. My mother always taught us girls to think of others first, to send cards or call someone when they were sick, even if they just had a cold. When going out to dinner, she always offered her food to us first before she started eating her own, always wanting to share. When it came to marriage, she would always repeat to us these words: put your husband first. She was a perfect example of that. She loved my dad so much, and it was very evident. So I'd like to end by thanking God for blessing me with such a wonderful, kind, loving, and generous mother. It is an honor to stand before you and share my precious memories of my mother. She will be missed, but her memory will live on in all of us forever. I love you so much, Mom, and will miss you more than words can say.
Good afternoon, everyone. First, I'd like to thank all of you for coming today. It's obvious by this turnout that my mom touched so many lives and was loved by all of her friends and family. Speaking of family, that was the most important thing to my mom. Everything she did was for the love of her family. After 60 some years of marriage to my dad, she never forgot to say, "I love you" to him. They still held hands, kissed each other, and said those three little words to each other. As a child, I have nothing but fond and loving memories of my mom. I would get growing pains in my legs when I was young, and she would always get up in the middle of the night and rub them with alcohol until I fell asleep. When I would get migraines, she would rub my head until it was gone. My headache. She was always there for me. Sorry. Yeah.
I'm still there.
Sorry. She was always there for me, sacrificing a good night's sleep for herself. I also remember all the cakes, cookies, Jell-O molds, brownies, sloppy joes that she made for every occasion that our family had. And one time for Hanukkah, we thought that she was going to make homemade potato latkes, and she brought out frozen ones instead. And they were not the same. And we let her know that, and we never let her live that down. She was also a caregiver. She and my dad took my grandmother into their house to live with them after my grandfather died. She took her to endless doctor's appointments, the JCC, bingo, and most important, to go get ice cream. Of course, I had to go too to make sure that they didn't eat too much. She treated my grandma like a queen, and she deserved it. My mom had a great sense of humor. Anytime she would call me, she would always start out the conversation by saying, "Dar, it's Mom." And then I would say, "Mom, after all these years, I know your voice by now." And she would just laugh and say, "Well, I just want to make sure that you know it's me." And she would always beat me at 500 rummy. And I would always say to her, "How do I let a 93-year-old beat me?" And she would just say, "Just luck, I guess." And she would also fall asleep while we were playing. And I would wake her up and say, "Mom, you're sleeping. Mom, you're sleeping. You're falling asleep." And she would say, "I am not sleeping," as her head would go down like this, you know. My mom was the most caring, giving, loving, and compassionate person that I know. She was strong, and she had a heart of gold, always putting her family first, always willing to help out her friends when they needed it, and I was so proud to call her my mom. I'll always have a special place in my heart for her, and I will miss her every day. I love you, Mom.
And to those words of prayer, let us say amen. Mark, Jennifer, Sharon, would you come forward? The whole generation.
Okay. Well, we have so many memories of my grandma that are so special to us. Some of our most significant memories of her are playing Rummy Cube, Five Crown, poker. Every time we came into Cleveland, we would play those games all the time. The funny part is that she beat us all of the time at all those games, even at 93 years old. This was our special time with her, playing any kind of card games. As many of you here know, she loved cards and loved playing and winning, which she did all the time. But her sense of humor was the best, even up until her last few weeks. We would ask her to dance with us, she would, even with her walker. We would ask her to sing with us, she would, although she was always a beat ahead, which I've actually got a lot of great videos of. We would tell her we were paying for her meal at Jack's, and she would never, ever let us. We had to stop taking her to the movies when we were in town because she would always fall asleep during the previews. As my mom mentioned, we would see her. I lost my Oh, she would also fall asleep while we were playing cards, eating, or going for a ride. It was hilarious to us, but she always denied that she was nodding off. What, as the rabbi mentioned, what was also amazing was her math ability. She would always be the one to keep score and always be able to add up the values of the cards without hesitating. She would do the addition in her head in about 2 seconds. I have a video of that too. It's awesome. Speaking of videos, we have many of those. If anyone wants to see them, they're just some great memories. They're hilarious. They'll make you laugh and smile all day long. The funniest moment was we were all eating at the table, and Grandma laughed so hard her dentures fell out. Lastly, we would FaceTime her all the time, because Sharon and I live in Columbus, and anytime we said goodbye to her, we would always say the I love you sign, and she would say it back, and when we were with her, like, she would go like this with us, and it was just very, very special. There are too many memories I could stand up here and talk about, but let us think about all the good memories we have with her and know that she is with Papa now in peace and out of pain.
On behalf of my mom and my family, thank you all for coming from near and far to celebrate the life of Grandma Estelle. It must be true that the love you give is equal to the love you receive. And that is why there's so much family and so many friends here that loved her very much. Grandma was always so kind, giving, and caring, and she took those values which she learned from Grandma Rose and Grandpa Charlie, and she passed them down to each generation, which is one of the reasons why I see those same values in my own girls. She and Pop showed all of us what it takes to have a loving, respectful, lifelong marriage, which they can now continue hand in hand. They are such an inspiration to Stacy and I. Grandma was always so proud of her family and interested in what they had going on in their lives. The amount of pictures she had of all of us in her place was pretty ridiculous. No space left anywhere for anything else. She always had a good story to share, which told of what a full and memorable life she had. One such story was about a mystery flasher on Halloween. It sounds like Grandma gave Pop a trick and a treat. She was always good like that. Always something fun. Great sense of humor. Always some kind of good stories she had. So gonna miss those stories. So, as we remember Grandma Estelle today and always, take with you that smile and laugh of hers that would brighten any room, and share it with not only the ones you love, but with everyone, just like she did.
More words of prayer and eulogy, and so let us say amen. From some of the great-grandchildren. So Samantha wrote, Grandma was a strong person. She was always there to help everyone in her life. She was always saying she wanted to go to her great-granddaughter Samantha's bat mitzvah. And even though she won't be there in person, her presence will be there, felt in our hearts. I will miss you so much, Grandma. My love is always with you. Love, Samantha. And Alexa wrote, Grandma, I really love so much. We always look forward to seeing each other. I will really miss her. Love, Alexa. Nothing better than grandchildren and or great-grandchildren. There's no competition with grandchildren or great-grandchildren. Estelle was born in Toledo on January 28, 1926. Her parents of blessed memory, Charles and Rose Berkowitz. She was the second of 4 children, all now of blessed memory: Louis, Estelle, Donald, and Joanne. Estelle and Marvin met at an early age. At the time of his funeral in 2013, Estelle said, these are her words, "My grandmother had a change of life baby, and as this boy, Louis Goldstein, grew up, he was friends with Marv, and I was always trying to tag along with them. We were married in Toledo by Rabbi Katz on September 15th, 1946. So I guess she tagged along enough to get a date out of the deal and a marriage. They were married 67 years at the time of Marv's death. In 2013, 67 years. Most people can't, well, she could count that high. But a lot of people can't count that high. It was a loving and devoted marriage. Marv had many jobs. He worked for a produce company. He worked for Toledo Jewelers. He was a jack of all trades. Estelle, as we know, was a great counter. And she worked in the accounting department in Purex laundry detergent. And they were partners in everything. Apparently in Toledo for a while they ran a convenience store together. They worked together. And they moved to Cleveland in 1984 to be closer with the children and grandchildren. So over the years they were blessed with 3 children, 4 grandchildren, 4 great-grandchildren. I'll try to get everybody's name. Okay, Janice, Howard, Darlene, Barbara, Tony, and then in the grandchildren's generation, Jeff, Jenny, Mark, Stacy. Hey, there you go. Hey, Jennifer, I did it for you. Jennifer, Sarah, Sharon, and great-grandchildren, Madeline, Grayson, Samantha, and Alexa. You have heard many, many memories of hers. So as we thank God for the gift of this long life, 93 years. On Sunday morning, she breathed her last, and so now there's no more deterioration of her body or mind. There's just now rest and wholeness and peace. She is at peace. We learn this in Ecclesiastes chapter 12, verse 7. The dust returns to the earth as it was. The spirit returns to God who gave it. So we believe her soul returns to God to be with the souls of her dear husband, family members, relatives, friends, and the ancestors of our people. The family has allowed us to send along an old prayer book with her because not only is it a mitzvah to escort the body of your loved one to its final resting place, but also holy books of our tradition. So as you think of Estelle, you should, I guess somebody else has to take the place in the family of always winning the games. If she always won, now all you losers, now somebody's going to have to be the winner. I'm guessing, right? Was she really mean about her competitiveness? No? Good. So one of you has to be the winner and be nice about it. That's an important attribute. So play a little mahjong. You know, eat the leftovers out of the freezer. I mean, eat some ice cream, all sorts of these things, and do these things in her loving memory. And she was a good, kind, decent person, really. Oh, there are also a lot of pictures you'll probably get a chance to see back at the house of those Halloween costumes at Schnerman House. There are some really great pictures of those Halloween costumes. Even some embarrassing ones that are still really, really great. So we conclude with words from the first chapter of the book of Job. Adonai natan, v'Adonai lakach, yehi shem Adonai mevarach. The Lord hath given, the Lord hath taken away. Blessed be the name of the Lord. Amen. Oseh shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imru, yimru, amen. Ya'aseh shalom, ya'aseh shalom, shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ya'aseh shalom, Yahaseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu, Ve'al Kol Yisrael. May God, who causes peace to reign in the high heavens, cause peace to rain down upon us, upon all Israel, and upon the soul of our dearly departed Estelle. And let us say, Amen. Please rise for El Maleh Rachamim. Into your care, O God, we entrust the spirit of our dear Estelle Epstein, Esther bat Chaim Varezel, for you keep faith with your children in death as in life. Sustain us that we may meet with serenity the mysteries that lie ahead, knowing that when we walk through the valley of the shadow of death, you, O God, are with us, a loving friend in whom we put our trust. You are the light of our life, our hope in eternity. El Maleh Rachamim, Shochein Bamromim, Hametzeh Menucha Nechona, Tachat Kanfei Hashchina, Im Kedoshim Utohorim, Kezohar Masirim, Et Nishmat Esther bat Chaim Varezel, Shahalacha Olama, Baal Harachamim, Yastireha B'Seter Kenafav Leolamim, Vayitzror B'Tor HaChaim, Et Nishmata Adonai hu nachalata, v'tanuach b'shalom al mishkava, v'nomar Amen. Compassionate God, eternal Spirit of the universe, grant perfect rest in your sheltering presence to Esther bat Chaim Varezel, our dear Estelle Epstein. She has entered eternity. O God of mercy, let her find refuge in the shadow of your wings, and let her soul be bound up in the bond of everlasting life. God is her inheritance. May she rest in peace, and let us say, Amen. In a moment, we will go in procession to Mount Olive Cemetery. Family will be gathering at Janice and Howard's house at 4247 Colony Road. We'll be there in about an hour and 15 minutes, hour and a half from now. Family will be there tonight until 9 o'clock. If you're not going to the grave with us, wait and meet us there in an hour, 15, hour and a half. We'll say Kaddish for her at the grave. We'll say Kaddish for her this afternoon in Hebrew school. And every Wednesday and every Sunday that we have Hebrew school and Sunday school, and every Friday that we have services, which is every Friday, we're going to say Kaddish for her. It'll be our privilege to do so. Whether any family members can attend or not, it'll be our privilege. We'll recite Kaddish for her. Family has also asked if you care to make donations in her loving memory, American Cancer Society or Schnurman House. Or it could be something else. But those two among the places, please consider those first. And this concludes our service here at the funeral home, and we'll wait for the gentleman to give us instructions to go in procession.